Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mayor Billy Knight. It's time for our River City Chat. You know, it's time again for me to give you an update on our water meters, and we're there now. We're ready to go live. I told you that we have put these things off twice. We put it off in February, and we put it off in March because this meter has been in the ground since November, and we have been looking at this meeting and reading it, and the technicians have been checking these meters over and over again to make sure they are operating properly. And these meters are reading 99% correctly. All these meters are reading 99%. So we're sure that these meters are working, okay? So what we've been worried about is making sure we could transfer the software to make sure the billing cycles and all that was correct. And now we got that fixed. And we're ready to go live with this billing the first week of April. So starting the first week of April, which is the 7th of April next week, some of you are going to be getting a bill. And I say some of you because, we have 4 billing cycles. That means bill go out 4 different times during the month. So when you receive your bill. Some of you receive your bill the first week, some bill the second week, the third week, and the fourth week. So when you receive a bill in April, regardless of what time of the month you get it in April, that will be a new bill based on new readings from this meter. So this is what I want you to do, because folks, I know a lot of people are going to realize that they're having to pay more than they've been paying. And I think some of it may be because you may have a leak that you're not aware of. So I want you to do 2 things for me, because I don't want you to pay any more than you have to pay, and that you should pay, based on your actual use of water. So this is what I want you to do. 2 things I want you to do. This is a meter. So I want you to cut off everything in your house. Cut off all the water in your house, your sink, your bath. Make sure the commode is not running. Make sure your bathroom, every spigot in your house, cut it off. And then go out and look at this meter. There's 4 zeros at the bottom of this meter. If any of these numbers are running, that means you got a leak someplace. You got all the water in your house cut off. Everything is cut off. And you go out and look at this meter. If those bottom numbers are moving, it means you got a leak someplace. And you need to get a plumber there to check it. Cut off everything in your house, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check this thing one more time. Cut off everything in your house and go out and look at your new water meter. And it's got 4 numbers at the bottom. If those numbers are moving, it means you got a leak. And you're going to be charged for that if you don't correct that leak. The other way you can check to see if you got a leak is that put some coloring in your commode. And if that coloring settled to the bottom of that commode, you got a leak someplace. Maybe your commode is running. Maybe it needs to be changed out. Those things do get old, and you may need to change it out. Put coloring in your bowl, in your bathroom commode, and if that coloring settles to the bottom, without you doing anything, you just pour it in there, and if it settles to the bottom, and it may not immediately do it right away, but just put it there and walk out the room and come back in a few minutes, and if it settles to the bottom, you know you got a leak. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that we're going to have a lot of people question us about their water bill because you're going to think we're charging you more, and we don't want to do that. But just think about it now. For over 10 years, I believe, we've been averaging these bills and nobody's been paying their fair share. Now, we're not going to go back and ask you to retroactively make up that. We're not going to do that. We could, but we're not going to do that. So we want everybody right now to just pay their fair share. And we want you to be paying for the water that you're actually using So if you got a leak, you need to correct that leak. Because if you got a leak and you don't correct it, we're going to expect you to pay the bill. So think about if you got a pool, you're going to have more raw water. If you're watering your grass, if you're washing your cars, all that adds up. Just keep in mind now, if you're doing all that, it's going to add up. And you're going to expect to be expected to pay. So I'm happy to get these new meters in the ground because that's been a sore for all of us over the years. And we're going to go live with it the 1st of April. Most point, we ask you to work with us. We'll work through all these issues that we're going to have. Anytime you you go into a big transition like this or project, you're going to have some problems. And I'm trying to minimize those problems. And we're going to work with you to solve whatever issue you might have. But the bigger issue is going to be, if you got a leak, you need to fix that leak because it's going to show up on your meter here. And we're going to expect you to pay it. Most point, let's work together. We're all in this together. And what I'm trying to do is to better this situation for all of us. The city's been subsidizing this money for years, and we cannot afford that. So I need you to help us, Most Point. I'm depending on you to do that. Have a good day.